The NFL Combine showed the Tennessee Titans needed to take Rome Odunze over this offensive tackle. I'll break down the decision in a 7-round mock draft on today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. Let's get it.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. It's Mock Draft Monday here on the Locked On Titans podcast, and we're going to go over some standouts from the NFL Combine. We're going to dive into why the Titans should take Rome Odunze over Olu Fashanu. I'm going to go over some freak athletes the Titans can get on day 2, and then we're taking a chance on some elite athletes on day 3 as well. Before we get into my 7-round mock draft, I do want to thank you guys for making the Locked On Titans podcast your first listen each and every day. Remember, Monday through Friday, Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. Make sure you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day here on the #1 Tennessee Titans podcast in the world. On tomorrow's show, we're going to go over some combine rumors. Mike Evans is hitting free agency. Some other names are going to be available to the Titans. We got some combine rumors about some pairings that could be matching up between the Titans and free agents. I'm going over all of that intel tomorrow. Don't want to miss it. And my DeAndre Hopkins film breakdown is out on the Tic Tac Titans film channel. Make sure that you guys go check that out. Going to have a link for that down below in the description. But with that being said, a combine standout was Rome Odunze, the wide receiver from Washington. And we're doing a 7-round mock draft today, and I was faced with a choice here. Basically, the top 6 players were 2 quarterbacks, 2 wide receivers, Joe Alt, or 3 quarterbacks, 2 wide receivers, and Joe Alt. And I'm left with the decision between Rome Odunze and Olu Fashanu. And for me, I have to go with Odunze. I know the Tennessee Titans need help on the offensive line. I know that. But Odunze is a polished product ready to go. And I've seen people even compare Rome Odunze to Jamar Chase and the type of way that he plays football. Look, Odunze confirmed just about everything you wanted to see at the Combine. Size, 6'2", close to 6'3". The 40, 4.45. Had a great vertical jump, a great shuttle time. I mean, whether it's short area quickness, whether it's long speed, whether it's size, whether it's explosiveness, when you're seeing Odunze go up and get the ball over top of people, that is confirmed by the vertical. 39 inches in the vertical. He had a 9.91 RAS score. And if you don't know about RAS, that's relative athletic score. It's done by Kenley Platt. He does a great job at Math Bombs on Twitter. Basically, it's a historical comparison to everyone at your position. And Rome Odunze was absolutely elite in his RAS score. So, balled out at the Combine. And want to throw in these other little tidbits here. Had a formal interview with the Tennessee Titans that he said went well. Also, he stayed after the Combine drills were over to work on his 3-cone agility. The guy is a dog, all right? He is a football lifer. And when you look at somebody like Tyjae Spears, who Rand Carthon just constantly talks about how much Tyjae Spears loves football, Rome Odunze loves football like that. So, again, I get that the Titans need offensive line, but you cannot pass on Rome Odunze, who could be an elite wide receiver right out of the gate, for Olu Fashanu, who, listen, had a good 40 time, did pull up limp and didn't go through the drills and blah, blah, blah after he got injured, had some sort of injury, but I guess he's going to be fine for the pro day on March 15th for Penn State. Okay, all right. I don't like the competitor there. When you look at Odunze on the other side, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors both bowed out. Who was the elite wide receiver prospect that went out there and competed? It was Rome Odunze. All right, so he checks all the boxes. And at the end of the day, there are tackle prospects in this draft that I think the Titans can get on day 2 that you can develop. Fashanu has elite traits, elite athleticism, all of that, but he is still considered by some to be a developmental prospect, a guy who needs some development. He's not plug and play, ready to go, going to be great right from the start like a Joe Alt. He's someone who does have greatness to him and is going to go in the top of the first round, but still needs a little bit of work and still needs some technique stuff. All right, well, Tali Fawaga could go in front of Fashanu because he's more of a ready product that's ready to go right away. So if I have to choose between a development tackle, I'm just going to get one in the second round. I'm going to go with the absolutely polished wide receiver in Rome Odunze right now. So look, just to cut it what it is, Marvin Harrison Jr. would be my top option in this draft. Then Joe Alt behind him. And then Malik Neighbors. But after those 3, you ask me Odunze or Fashanu, I'm going with Rome Odunze every single time. So let me know who you guys would take down below. Again, Odunze killed the combine. He was excellent. He's fluid in all the drills, ran good times. I'm putting his RAS back up there. I mean, he is an elite prospect when it comes to the film, when it comes to the athletic testing, when it comes to the person that he is, again, on the field, working drills, listening to him talk in his interviews, understanding his routes, setting people up, knowing the mental aspects of football. Odunze gives you all of it. He brings all of it to the table. So I think he would be an excellent fit for the Titans at number 7. And when you start to look at how the board could play out with the 3 quarterbacks, Marvin Harrison Jr., Joe Alt at 5, Malik Neighbors at 6, I think Odunze is a very realistic option to be there for the Titans, and I would take him over Olu Fashanu 100%. No question about it, and the Combine just confirmed it for me. So, love Rome Odunze. Think he would be a great fit. Let me know, are you guys taking Rome Odunze? Are you taking Olu Fashanu? What would you take at number 7 if that was the choice that you were making? Let me know down below. I'm going to get into my additional picks in this draft, and man, I really, really love this mock draft and how it turned out. We're going over some Combine standouts on today's Mock Draft Monday, 7-round mock draft, continuing now. Before we get into it, I do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. The NFL season may be over, but we're in the best part of the NBA season. And right now, you can do money lines, spreads, over-unders, player props. They have same-game parlays. They even have a live same-game parlay so that you don't miss out on the action even after the game has begun. Make sure that you visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn. That's FanDuel.com/LockedOn and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Titans fans, let's continue today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. We're doing a 7-round mock draft based on combine standouts. One of the big standouts was Rome Odunze. Just explain why I would take him over Olu Fashanu at number 7. Now I got to get into my other picks, and there are some excellent picks for the Titans on day 2. We are going to start at pick number 38. Before I get into it, thank you for making the Locked On Titans podcast your first listen each and every day. We're talking about the draft prospects from the Combine today. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about some of the veteran storylines that came out of the NBA or the NFL Combine, talking about guys hitting free agency, guys available via trade, all of that stuff. So we're diving into all those rumors on tomorrow's show. But back to the mock draft. If I took wide receiver round 1, you know that means that I am taking offensive tackle in round 2. And at pick number 38, I went with Patrick Paul, the offensive tackle out of Houston. Look, Paul's a high-cut guy. He's got really long legs, really high hips. That is going to make him a little susceptible to maybe some smaller guys, but just incredible length, incredible strength as well. 6'7", 331 pounds, a 9.69 RAS grade. Look at the height. Look at the weight. Look at the 10-yard split. 1.77. That's elite, folks. That is an elite 10-yard split, which for offensive linemen, the 10-yard split is more important than the full 40 yards. When is an offensive lineman realistically going to have to do a 40-yard dash in a football game? It's not like wide receivers and cornerbacks. What you're looking at for offensive line is that 10-yard split, and Patrick Paul was excellent there. Excellent. So the athleticism that scouts have seen on tape from Patrick Paul has been confirmed. The size, the length, I mean, he has the ability to be a devastating left tackle. I mean, he really does. He's fluid. His lateral agility at the combine looked great. Again, a great 10-second split on the 40-yard dash. He also had a formal meeting with the Tennessee Titans, so there's probably some interest there, of course, but that, I mean, you didn't need a formal meeting to know that the Titans are interested in second-round offensive tackles. But this is a guy, Paul, who needs some development, needs some technique work. But again, we talked about Olu Fashanu. I called him Fashanu for so long. Fashanu, or I called him Fashanu for so long now. He's saying it's Fashanu, which is the correct pronunciation. So I'm working through that. I'm sure you guys are too, trying to get these right. But Fashanu has some developmental needs as well. So if I'm going to take a developmental tackle, why not take a guy in Patrick Paul who has incredible length, incredible size, incredible strength, incredible athletic ability, and develop that guy? And with Bill Callahan, remember, Ray Carthon just said at the combine that having Bill Callahan as the offensive line coach gives him a little bit of leeway. This is the type of leeway we're talking about. You get the elite wide receiver prospect in Rome Odunze at number 7, and then you follow that up with Patrick Paul. Now, I could have taken Xavier Worthy at this spot and doubled up on wide receiver. Xavier Worthy had a 4.21 40-yard dash, blazing fast, outrageous. But he's only 165 pounds. That does make you worry a little bit. Ladd McConkey, also 4.39 40, absolutely blazing, 180-some pounds, so a bigger bodied guy, 5'11", gives you a ton of speed. I really like Ladd McConkey. Jordan Morgan on the offensive line, not as good a length, not as good a size, may have to slide into guard, may be able to hold on at right tackle. Jordan Morgan wasn't a bad prospect, didn't have a bad combine, but I'm sorry, Patrick Paul, his length, his size, what he showed, and his interviews at the combine, I really enjoyed his candor. He seems like an intelligent guy who's willing to learn, who's smart enough to understand what he needs to get better at. I think that Patrick Paul would be an excellent pick. If they left with Rome Odunze and Patrick Paul, that is a hype over the moon pairing. To me, that's right behind Joe Alt and A.D. Mitchell as a great pairing to leave this draft with. So I absolutely love Patrick Paul there, a standout at the combine. Now, you got quite a few picks. You go from 38 all the way to 107. Maybe the Titans trade down from 38 and get some more picks to fill that gap. Maybe they don't. I'm not doing that here. Either way, at 107, the Titans came away with a great pick. Cam Hart, the cornerback out of Notre Dame, who absolutely balled out at the combine. All right, number one, we know that Cam Hart is huge. All right, he's a big-bodied cornerback out of Notre Dame, 6'3", 202 pounds. He had a 9.82 RAS score. I mean, this guy has all of the physical traits that you're looking for. And I have continued to say, and will continue to say, the Titans need an outside cornerback. All right, they don't need a bunch of slot cornerbacks. That's not what they need right now. They need guys who could play on the outside. You have Roger McCreary, who is a good slot corner. You can find some good slot corners late in the draft. The Titans need big-bodied, long-armed, physical cornerbacks on the outside. And look at Cam Hart. Again, 6'3", confirmed. 200 pounds, confirmed. 33-inch arms. Elite vertical jump. Elite broad jump to be explosive and get in the air and make plays on the ball. 4.5, 40-yard dash. So he's a big physical guy who isn't slow. I love Cam Hart. And this was tough for me because there were other options. All right. I think the Titans are certainly going to double up at wide receiver. Could have went Ricky Pearsall. Could have went Brendan Rice. Could have went back to the offensive line with Roger Rosengarten or Tanner Bordolini, who had a great combine effort. But for me, the Titans need cornerback desperately. They need big-bodied corners who can play in man coverage, who can press at the line of scrimmage, and I think Cam Hart is excellent. Another guy who I really considered here, ended up going a couple of picks before, is Kerry Jackson from Oregon, another long cornerback with good speed who had a great combine. But Cam Hart didn't have the best Senior Bowl, came out, had a great combine, really looked fluid in the drills too, which is huge. So I would, if the Titans left the first 4 rounds with Rome Odunze, Patrick Paul, and Cam Hart, ladies and gentlemen, we are absolutely cooking. Okay, absolutely cooking. So 3 guys who really had excellent combines, who stand out for the Titans, who could be a good fit. Now, we got 5 other names to go through to conclude things. Looking at day 4, the Tennessee Titans trying to add some elite athletes. We're getting back into combine standouts here in just a moment. Before we do, though, do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. What's the first thing that you'd do if you had an extra hour in your day? Go for a run, take a nap, read a book. A lot of us spend our lives wishing that we had more time. The question is, time for what? If time was unlimited, how would you use it? The best way to squeeze that special thing into your schedule is to know what's most important to you and make it a priority. I have worked with BetterHelp online therapy before. Absolutely excellent. Really helped me settle myself. Again, put the main things first, prioritize things in the right way. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Learn to make time for what makes you happy with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. Titans fans, let's cap off today's 7-round mock draft. We're looking at combine standouts who make sense for the Tennessee Titans. I've gone through my first 3 picks. We had Rome Odunze, we had Patrick Paul, we had Cam Hart. So wide receiver, offensive tackle, cornerback out of the gate. The Titans' 3 biggest needs, hammered those with great athletes who stood out. Now I'm going to get into my final 5 picks. Before I do, want to thank you guys one more time for making the Locked On Titans podcast your first to listen each and every day. Make sure that you go check out my film breakdown on DeAndre Hopkins at Tic Tac Titans here on YouTube. Would appreciate your support over there. Also, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. It's called Locked On Sports Today. You can find it on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts from Locked On, plus coverage on every league from our national shows. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. All right, guys, 145. So we went 7 Rome Odunze, 38 Patrick Paul, 107 Cam Hart, 145. I went with Luke McCaffrey, wide receiver out of Rice. McCaffrey cooked. at the NFL Combine. I almost said Senior Bowl. He had a great Senior Bowl as well, but he was excellent at the NFL Combine. He's going to be a slot receiver at the next level. I think Luke McCaffrey is destined to be a slot guy. I think he could provide some value on the outside. Of course, he's got the size to do it, but I think where he's really going to make his bread is in the slot, and he's 6'1", 198 pounds. Had a 4.46 40-yard dash, 9.56 relative athletic score, RAS score, 9.56. Great shuttle, great three-cone, good 10-yard split. Look, something that I think stands out to me about Brian Callahan's offenses, big slots. Tyler Boyd is a slot guy, but he's not small. He's 6'1", 6'2", a bigger slot guy. With the amount of 11 personnel that Brian Callahan runs. So that's 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 11 personnel. With the amount of 11 personnel the Titans will run now under Brian Callahan, you need a big-bodied slot receiver who can act as that second tight end since you want to be in 3 wide receiver all the time. I don't think that Kyle Phillips is going to have as much value to the Titans' new coaching staff as they had to Mike Vrabel. The Titans are going to want a bigger-bodied slot. That's why I think DeAndre Hopkins, Treylon Burks could get a lot of opportunity in the slot under Brian Callahan so they can fulfill that role. Luke McCaffrey has the ability at 6'1", 200 pounds to be that big slot receiver who can catch the ball, get open, do things that you need a wide receiver to do, but also isn't afraid to get in there and block, isn't afraid to slide into the formation. Think about Tyler Boyd. I think Luke McCaffrey could be a Tyler Boyd within the Titans offense. You get Rome Odunze, your big, physical, outside receiver who's going to win on the sideline, and then you follow that up with a guy of a different kind who is something that you don't currently have on your roster. You don't have that pure slot who's also a big-bodied guy. So you're getting a variety of skill sets on your team. And again, I don't think that Kyle Phillips, the small, shifty slot receiver, is going to have as much value under Brian Callahan now knowing more about what kind of offense he wants to employ. And with the 11 personnel and wanting that big-bodied slot, I think Luke McCaffrey at pick 145 could make a ton of sense for the Tennessee Titans. So doubling up on wide receiver because Brian Callahan did say, we hope there's a couple of guys who are a fit for us in the draft at wide receiver. So I think that makes a ton of sense. Then at 184, I was really excited about this pick. Christian Jones, the offensive tackle out of Texas. I love what Christian Jones is bringing to the table. Okay, he didn't qualify for an RAS score because he didn't do some of the broad jump, vertical jump, 3-cone, stuff like that. But had a good 40 time, has great length, has great movement ability. He looked really fluid in the drills. He's somebody who needs a little bit of a development, but 6'5", 305 pounds, 34.5-inch arms. This is a guy who I think comes in, you expect him to sit, you bring in a free agent right tackle, and this is a guy who should be starting for you in a year or two. Let Bill Callahan get his hands on Christian Jones. I think that would be a perfect match as a development tackle who could probably start within a year. And, if you needed to, slide him inside the right guard. I don't think that's what you should do, but I don't think it would be something that he couldn't do. But I love Christian Jones out of Texas. And again, didn't qualify for an RAS score, but had an excellent, excellent time at the combine and looked really fluid in the drills. 184, add another offensive lineman, another offensive tackle out of one of the best offensive tackle classes that we have seen in quite some time. Then you get your last 3 picks, all in the 7th round. And I'm going for athletes. I'm throwing darts on elite athletic traits in the 2nd round. So at 219, I went edge rusher, Jalix Hunt. Out of Houston, Christian. He is a little smaller for an edge rusher, only 6'3", 250 pounds, only bench 19 reps. He doesn't have quite the strength, but he is an explosive athlete. Look at the 40-yard dash, 4.6. Look at the vertical and the broad jump. A 9.13 RAS score overall. Jalix Hunt, the edge rusher out of Houston Christian. I think that you add him in round 7. You add some weight to him. You add some strength to him. You let him develop slowly. And you let him play special teams with that freakish athleticism. And I think you have a great end of the roster development guy. Jalix Hunt. Love him as a day 3 freak athlete for the Titans to take a chance on. Again, a little undersized, needs to add some weight, needs to add some strength, but play special teams with that athleticism while we develop your strength and we develop your pass rush plan. I love that option for the Titans in round 7. Then, 225, I'm going to running back. And we got Isaac Guerendo from Louisville, running back, 6 foot 220. So big bodied, physical running back. And I think that would pair very well with Tajay Spears. He had a 9.98 RAS score. This is one of the most athletic running backs that has gone to the NFL Combine ever. Everything about him elite, off the charts. Unreal. All of his athletic traits. And my thing about Guerendo is he may be 6 foot, 220 pounds, big, physical, but great speed. 4.33 at 6 foot, 220. 4.33. And he's fluid catching the ball out of the backfield. He doesn't have tight hips. He isn't stiff. So I love Guerendo as a great fit for the Titans on day 3. Elite athlete, good size. Love that. And then my final pick at 240 is Dominique Hampton. Dominique Hampton is the safety out of Washington. 6 foot 3. 215 pounds. Well, 6'2" and some change. 215 pounds. Ran a 4.5 with 33 and a quarter arms. This is a guy who's going to come in right away and play special teams. He is going to factor on the special teams right away with his length, his size, his speed, and you develop him in the back end. Now, again, you got to keep this in mind. Day 3, Jalix Hunt, Isaac Guerendo, Dominique Hampton. These are dart throws. I'm not expecting any of these guys to make the team necessarily, but I all think they can, and they're elite athletes. And that's what I'm taking a chance on day 3. I'm taking a chance on guys who just have freakish athleticism and see if we can develop them. And that's the point of having a good coaching staff. So to conclude here, you go Rome Odunze at number 7, Patrick Paul at number 38, Cam Hart, number 107. So we go wide receiver, offensive tackle, cornerback with our first 3 picks. Then we come back to wide receiver and offensive line with Luke McCaffrey and Christian Jones. And then we get some elite athletes to end things out in the 7th round with Jalix Hunt, the edge rusher, Isaac Guerendo, the running back, Dominique Hampton, the safety. This is my favorite mock draft that I've done so far. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. And of course, again, shout out to Kent Lee Platt, the guy who does the RAS scores at Math Bombs on Twitter, does a great job there. But let me know how you would grade my mock draft. Let me know about some of the picks that I've made. Check out the DeAndre Hopkins film breakdown. And again, tomorrow we're going over some of the veteran free agent rumors coming out of the combine. But with that being said, that is going to do it for me today, folks. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.